All right. All right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I don't want to keep everybody too long. So just want to welcome those that's on the call, as well as our guest speaker, Jason Palmer, who's an IHSA official. I'm not gonna steal his thunder. I'm gonna let him do his introductions and all of this good stuff that he does and amazing things that he's been doing and continuously doing. So right now I'll turn it over to you, Jason. So let you take control.
Appreciate it, Clarence. So, always honored to speak with MOA people.
Mhm.
Started with MOA when I lived in the city and grew up on the South Side. Been official now for 17 years. I've done four sports in the past. I did softball, I did basketball. I've cut it down now to just two. I do water polo and volleyball. Those are my two sports that I do. I do volleyball pretty much year round. I do USAV volleyball, AAU volleyball, and I do IHSA water polo. So I'm working a lot. I'm working a lot. I also did some college um, volleyball before. I did that for a couple of seasons. Then I cut back on that during the pandemic. And after the pandemic, I realized I like spending time with my wife in the evenings. So
That's
I
important.
stopped doing college.
That's important. That's
um,
really important.
you're right. And I think, that's another thing is officials, as they get into this vocation, you have to be able to make time for your family. Because there's always going to be another game.
Mhm.
And I'm all for hustling, but sometimes you do need to step away from the game from just a little bit, just to
Yeah.
kind of refresh yourself. And for me, that was very important when I took that step to do that. I also worked for 2 years for Referee Magazine and the National Association of Sports Officials. Referee Magazine is the only magazine dedicated to sports officiating, and the National Association of Sports Officials is our advocacy group. And they advocate for legislation for sports officials. So you'll realize some sports now have assault legislation, whereas if an official is assaulted, it's an automatic felony charge. Still trying to get that in Illinois, but a number of states now have that. That is all the work of the National Association of Sports Officials. They do a lot of lobbying with politicians in each state to just try to bring awareness to the issues that we are having as sports officials. So that was a great experience. I learned a lot when I was at NASO. A couple of things I learned is the officiating shortage that we're having. It's not just in Illinois, it is around the country. It is affecting every single sport. Some sports are affected more than others. Seeing the MOA has officials from just about every sport the IHSA recognizes. I think it's very important for people to understand um, where the shortages are, and that's a good way to step in if you want to add another sport and add some more income and learn some more tools that you can use in your main sport. You can definitely do that. I learned a lot from water polo that I can take into volleyball. Have some stuff in volleyball techniques that I've learned that I can take into water polo in terms of how to manage and bench management and all that type of stuff. So those are things I learned in NASO, but perhaps the biggest one was the one Clarence and I have talked about when I spoke at Pam Young's clinic back in August, was the liability aspect of this whole thing. When I was at NASO, one of the things I was responsible for was handling cases when officials got sued. Um, we live in a sue happy society nowadays, and sports officials on the high school level, on the youth level, even down at elementary school level, they get sued on a weekly basis. We are being forced to respond to our actions in courtrooms. We know these parents are out of control and think that their kid is the next LeBron, when they're not, but they will do stuff and they will sue you. And the other thing that has really changed the game, and especially since Pam, she was in when I was a kid, is that now everybody is videotaping everything. Everybody's in the stands like this. They ain't even watching the game half the time because they so busy recording their child play bad. But you know, everything is being recorded by us. Everything. Our mannerisms, our actions, our decisions, how we're talking. And that can get a lot of officials in trouble. And that was one thing I noticed that got a lot of officials in trouble was just the videotaping and the perception. And then the case goes before a judge who's never been a sports official. And, they're trying to figure stuff out. And so that was one of the main things I really kind of wanted to talk with this group about is the liability aspect. And I don't think many officials take that serious enough. And I'm talking veteran officials. And I don't think a lot of our newer, younger officials even realize that it's a possibility. So that's kind of what I really wanted to kind of talk to you about tonight. But I'm wide open to any type of discussion that you have for me, Clarence, or anyone else who's on the call.
Great, great. Well, really, that was the main reason why I reached out to you was to help people understand the liability side of what we do. And even though we're independent contractors, this is still a business because we're
Mm-hmm.
paid to do a service. And of course, like any job, there's rules and regulations that we all must follow. In our case, as officials, we all fall up under National Federation rules and guidelines as well as IHSA rules and guidelines. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very important that everyone understand. I don't care if this is your first year officiating or if you've been officiating, over 50 years or 60 years or however long you've been officiating, the legal liability side of the business. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in as well for those that's on the call. But Jason, I just want to kind of start it off real quick with if you can just share what you know as far as naso.org, for those that want to go online and look at the information about NASO and how they support officials worldwide, not just here in Chicago or in Illinois, but they do this worldwide for all sports officials. So no matter what sports you do, NASO is the organization that you definitely want to check out. Again, the website is naso.org. And Jason, if you can just share with us real quick, just some of the things that NASO has provides and how you can tie that into some of the examples that you can share with us of officials that have been in courtrooms and why they were in courtrooms and the things that caused them to be in courtrooms or just caught up in legal situations. Can you share some more about that?
Sure. So NASO membership right now is running around $120 for a year. Okay. So basically you work a couple of games, you can pay your NASO fee for the year. Their insurance is the most comprehensive coverage out there by far. Now, NFHS also does offer an insurance policy. It's better than nothing, I will say. But if you really want something that's going to give you the bang for the buck, you want the NASO insurance because not only does it cover if you get sued, it covers, they have assault insurance. Let's say you are assaulted. Okay. Let's say you are injured from that assault. Or let's say you are reffing a match and you get injured and you're going to miss games. There's insurance there that can supplement that income that you're losing. So let's say Tracy is working at basketball games. Some little kid in the stand playing around with a ball, the ball rolls out on the court. Tracy blows out his ankle. His season is gone. Now he's lost all these games that he's been assigned, which could be thousands of dollars. They have a policy in place where you can get some of that money to supplement that income so that you're not at a complete loss. Like I said, the assault insurance is also there, which I think is very important. And it also covers, let's say you get sued, somebody doesn't like the call you made, they come up with some lawsuit, drag you into court. Someone says you did something to their child, you made an inappropriate comment, inappropriate touching, all this stuff can help you out. And so the way I try to explain it to officials, and especially my new officials out there, you drive a car, you have to have car insurance, right? It's by law. You get in an accident without car insurance, you're in trouble. We are refereeing these matches, some of us hundreds of matches a year. If you're doing that without insurance, based off of the things that I just talked about, you are really putting yourself at risk. And if you're married, you're also putting your spouse at risk too. Because when the lawsuit comes, it's y'all that's getting sued, not just you. Um, Same thing, basketball officials, football officials. Football officials, what if they decide to sue the whole crew? It may not have had nothing to do with you, but you were part of the crew. I think one of the things the referees don't do is we don't think like attorneys. And we look at it, well, I did my job. What they mad at me for? Well, the attorneys are not sports officials. They don't care. They just want the money. They're going to sue you, the school district, the principal, the mayor, the city, if they can, anybody. They want the money. So we have to start thinking like a lawyer would think if we get into a situation. So the insurance is just, it's a must have. When you get the insurance, you also get the free subscription to the magazine. There's a bunch of interesting articles every month. They tackle different topics for a variety of sports. I know MOA is mostly basketball, football, volleyball, baseball, softball officials. And those are the main sports that they cover. I was the volleyball editor when I was there. I also did soccer. And then I also filled in kind of the other little sports as well. But for me, Clarence, I just cannot imagine doing this job without insurance, especially because I do work not just IHSA matches, but USA volleyball and IHSA water polo as well. So for my younger officials, I would encourage them, especially starting out, because that's when you're at the most risk because you're making the most mistakes. And they're honest mistakes that you're making. But again, the society we're living in, these parents are not going to look at it like, oh, he's only in his second year. They're going to look at it as this dude cost my kid a scholarship. They cost our team a chance to go down state. I mean, I just think gets dragged in the court every year because somebody thinks they should be, downstate. So, that's why I think the insurance is just so important to get first off right off the bat. So let me just ask real quick because I see the names. You got Dante in here, Miles and Demetrius, some other people. I know Pam, so I know what she does, but just so I can kind of get an idea, if they can kind of tell me what sport they referee right now.
Yeah, I'm 100% basketball.
100% basketball. Okay.
How you doing, I'm Miles? I'm in my second year. Primarily basketball, but I'm also registered in volleyball as well. I do some women's leagues when I get a chance.
Okay. And the good thing about that for you, also the insurance would cover rec leagues as well. And that's why it's so important. So if you're doing recreational adult volleyball, it would still cover that.
Awesome.
And I'll give you an excellent example. My biggest fear of getting injured in volleyball is when I'm up on the stand and the players come charging to try to get that ball that's near the antenna and they almost knock you off the stand. That's where most of our officials get hurt in volleyball. They get hurt when they fall off the stand or if they are the second referee down on the floor and a player can run into them. But you can also get hit during warm-ups because we know half of these kids can't serve, and you get hit in the head with the ball, you're going to get a concussion. So I strongly recommend that. So, all right. So he does those two. Who else we got?
I'm young. I do basketball, and this is my first year doing volleyball.
Okay. Got you. Anybody else, or was that everybody?
That's
Yes,
it.
Dante. I do basketball and volleyball.
Okay, basketball, volleyball. Okay, got you. All right. Yeah. So I would say, you all can definitely understand where I'm coming from here. I'll give you some examples. So for example, tonight I was just doing a match at Grays Lake North. And so here's a perfect example of how I kept myself out of trouble. We are done with the first match. We're getting ready to start the varsity match. And the fans are changing, parents are coming in. And after I do the coin flip and the team's on the court doing warm up, Dante, I noticed three things. By the bleachers, there are two strollers One has a baby in it, one does not have a baby in it. There's also a wheelchair. Now, all these people decide to park right in front of the first row. So they're not technically in the stands, they are in the playable area. So since I have so many people in here who do basketball and volleyball, you'll understand what I'm saying. In basketball, we really don't care because the playable area is the lines, right? The sidelines, the end line. However, in volleyball, it's not just the court lines that are the playable area. The playable area goes all the way over to the bleachers. So if you allow someone to leave a baby stroller, even if they're sitting in the front row, but the stroller is in front of them in a playable area, and the players are going to chase the ball, and the player goes to chase the ball, runs into the stroller and blows out her knee, guess who's in trouble? You are. Because you allowed that to be in a playable area. And, you know, for volleyball, that's where we can get in trouble. So all I did was I asked host management, hey, you know, can you accommodate the fans there? Have them move the strollers out the way. Now the wheelchair person, completely different situation. Okay. Because you have to know the laws, the ADA laws, American Disability Act. Now it's up to the school to have a spot for that person that's in that wheelchair so that they can view the game. But you also don't want them to be posing a safety risk either. So I mentioned that to the AD, and she accommodated the person in the wheelchair, just kind of moved her down. Their bleachers had a setup where it was like a little indentation where you could slide the wheelchair in. But I didn't make the decision. I informed the person who was responsible. And I think it's always important that you involve your host management in these type of situations, because if they come back and say, well, the ref told me I couldn't be here, I ain't say nothing to you. I talked to host management. They told you you couldn't be there because it's their gymnasium. So these are the little things that you have to pick up on and realize the importance of them. And a little bit of precaution on your part can save you a huge headache down the road.
I agree. You mentioned about the stands and the chair, the wheelchair, what have you. In basketball, it reminds me a lot of like cheerleaders under the basket,
Mm.
the baseline, or the cameramen on the baseline or under the basket. And so that's one thing that I always teach is for basketball officials, you have to make sure that those fans or spectators are outside of the lane lines, and at least if it's possible, at least 6 feet behind the baseline, because that's what the rule is that the players have to have at least 6 feet of space, 4 to 6 feet. So and I know some gyms it's kind of hard because the brick wall is right there by the end line and that sort of thing. But when possible, definitely that is one of our responsibilities. So we must make sure that we, follow the rules accordingly, because again, we don't want to get caught, in a situation where a player gets hurt or you may get hurt. Because sometimes, you may have cheerleaders on the end line and you running it's full speed on a fast break. You get there, boom. Now you bump into somebody. Now you're injured. So those things can potentially happen. No, we don't want them to happen. But if you don't do your due diligence, it could potentially happen, and we don't want that, to affect anybody's career or their livelihood. Because again, we're doing this as a secondary income or as a hobby. Obviously you don't want to, injure yourself or be off work, for something that we could have prevented, like you said, moving the wheelchair or, asking, can we relocate maybe this parent on the first floor because of ADA reasons so that they don't, get injured or so that no player gets injured. So just doing our, as we call preventative officiating, that's all part of that as well.
Yeah. And I'll add to that, Clarence. So Pam knows Mary very well. So we have a volleyball rule. We call it the Mary rule. Mary was one of the officials who helped mentor me. She was working a match at a CPS school, volleyball, and all the volleyball officials here know what I'm talking about. She went to get up on the stand. She was the R1 for the match. She went to climb up on the stand. I remind volleyball officials the net system is usually put up by a bunch of 15-year-olds. Okay. You're about to be 6 feet in the air on a contraption that was put together by some 16-year-olds. Okay. Mary went to get up on the ladder. The ladder was not securely attached. She got halfway up the ladder. The ladder detached from the pole system. The ladder went backwards. Mary was on it. She could not get off. Mary landed flat on her back. The referee stand landed on top of Mary.
In the bleachers.
Okay.
Because it was very tight in that school.
Not very fun. Mary had to go through multiple surgeries to deal with this. That's a lot of money spent, plus the pain and suffering and everything else. I use that as my warning story because oftentimes, especially in volleyball, when people come from other sports, they figure we're not doing nothing. Oh, it can't be dangerous. I'm a football referee. I got to watch for the teenage boys running me over. Y'all ain't going to get hurt in volleyball. You ain't doing nothing. You just calling in and out. Okay. You believe that if you want to. When them kids are running towards that stand, or if you're a line judge and the kids are chasing the ball and you get run over, all this stuff can happen. So know what areas are the boundaries of your particular sport. Keep those areas clear of anything that can get you injured or get someone else injured. About my 3rd year refereeing, I was doing a varsity match at Country Club Hills. What school is that? Hillcrest in Country Club Hills, a girls' game. This was back when they were really, really good. Fans were there. I was doing a 3-person match, varsity level, and I'm running down the court as the lead, and just out of my peripheral vision, I see something coming across the court that's kind of low. And I'm thinking, oh man, a ball is rolled out on the court. It's something came out on the court. Well, it was like an 8-month-old kid who had gotten away from his parent and is now entered the court. I'm running down. The players are running down on a fast break. I basically hurdled the little kid. So we avoided the collision. And then the referee, who was a center, had a better view of what was happening, blew the whistle, stopped the play. The kid wasn't injured. His mom ran on the court, snatched him up. I say that because it can happen that fast for all of us. It happens that fast. It's the stuff that you don't see coming that can really foul things up. So, fortunately, the little kid wasn't injured. I didn't run over him. None of the players ran over him. None of the players were injured. I myself was not injured. So, try to keep your area as clear as possible. It's why when you're a basketball ref, they try to teach us from the very beginning, when you are the lead, run down a fast break, don't try to look cute and run backwards. You can trip over anything because you cannot see. Yet I still see people do it every single year. And I'm like, this is a person just asking for it, trying to backpedal. Oh, these kids ain't that fast. I can backpedal. Yeah, but you can't see what's going on behind you. So, when Tracy teaches this stuff at a clinic, or when someone is teaching this stuff at a clinic, you have to follow that. Because let's say you didn't do it that way. Let's say you were backpedaling and you did trip over somebody's child and the kid got injured. Well, what's going to happen? They're going to file a lawsuit. And when they file the lawsuit, the lawyer is going to ask you, when you understand, hey, did you ever take a clinic? Well, yeah, I took clinic. We're required to take them every 3 years by the HSA. In the clinic, how do they teach you to run when you're the lead on the fast break? Do they teach you to run backwards? Do they teach you? How do they teach you? And as soon as you say it, they got you and you're in trouble. So that's why, you have to take the clinics seriously. You have to know the rule book. The rule book is like your Bible. It's your friend. It's what can protect you and keep you out of trouble. And that's what I tell officials all the time. And especially when you're talking about the boundaries of the court, sometimes the fans get upset with us. They don't understand it. And I basically just try to tell them, hey, this is for my safety and your safety, you know. And I think that's the best way to go about handling.
So let me ask you this question, because I know when you were at the volleyball clinic this year, you had brought up, I don't remember the exact play, but it kind of brought up some discussion in the room. And it was one of those plays, I guess, that's kind of like a gray area type play. So, and I'm saying that, but because I'm sure every sport has some type of gray area situations where it's like, well, the rule doesn't clearly state this or that, but as an official, I feel it should be this, and but the next feels it should be that. Like, can you kind of expound on how that kind of works, or how, from a legal aspect, is that good? Is that bad? Like, how should we handle those quote unquote gray area situations or plays or what have you?
Yeah. So that was under my under my segment at the clinic of don't make up your own rules.
Exactly. That's what it was.
Don't make up your own rules. And unfortunately, we do this a lot in officiating. We see it all the time. I've already seen it 4 or 5 times this girl seasons where I've had to correct officials for making up rules. Okay. I'll give you 2 examples. Okay. Both of them are from public league matches. I won't name the referee. I won't name the school. 2 examples. First example, I had a referee tell me he stopped a volleyball match this year because the boys' football team was in the bleachers. And when the visiting team was serving the ball, they were making noise. I said, okay, what did you do exactly? He said, well, I stopped play and I brought the coach over to me and I told her she's got to make those boys stop yelling at the girls while they're trying to serve. I said, why did you do that? Because they're girls, the boys are intimidating them, blah, blah, blah. I said, did they say anything racial, sexual? Did they call them by name? Did they call them by number? Were they cursing at them? Did they do any of that stuff? Well, no, they were just yelling and making a lot of noise, distracting other teams so they couldn't serve. I said, don't you do basketball? Yeah. Well, when the other team is shooting a free throw, aren't the fans making a whole bunch of noise? Well, yeah, but this isn't basketball. I said it isn't, but I'm trying to give you an example. In the football, if the person is going back to try to kick the winning field goal, fans are making noise, they screaming, waving hands. Would you stop the fans then? Well, no, but that's football. I said, okay. Now you show me in the volleyball rule book where what those young men was doing was against the rules. He couldn't do it. So here's one example of putting yourself in the situation where you ain't got no business putting yourself in the situation. Now, you go over there and try to stop them kids. You're going out of your authority and you're going to get yourself in trouble. Now, that one may not rise to a level of a lawsuit. However, the home team's coach could now get on the phone with Pam as the assigner or Cindy Irvin and say, hey, why is your officials stopping my students from cheering for their friends? Pam don't have an answer for that, neither does Cindy, because it's not in the rule book. So now Pam has to now talk to that official. Hey, why did you do that? Follow the rule book, blah, blah, blah. Here's a second example. This one I did involve Pam in a couple weeks ago, just because I wanted her to use it for one of her next clinics. Same thing in all these sports, though. Uniform rules. Look, we all hate being the uniform police. Doesn't matter what sport it is. We all hate it, but we have to enforce the rules. So, and this is similar to basketball and football. So I had a team that was wearing black jerseys and the numbers were dark gray. Okay. So the numbers weren't even close to contrasting with the uniform. So it all kind of blended in. That is illegal. I sent Pam the picture. Hey, look at these uniforms. What you think about this? So now here's where we get in trouble, Clarence. And this goes to what you asked me. When people make up their own rules. Let's say you don't do what is proper when that happens. So in volleyball, if everybody's wearing that uniform, You have to penalize them a point, write the IHSA, notify Pam, notify Cindy. That's what your protocols are to follow. But I'm going to give you another example that I just had on Friday in volleyball. Team has gray uniforms. They want to use a libero. A libero, for all my volleyball officials, we know they need to be in a different color uniform that contrasts. They're in a dark gray uniform. The libero is wearing black. Dark gray and black do not contrast. He has an orange uniform. I said, Coach, that doesn't contrast. Why don't you have her wear the orange one? Oh, okay. I knew it was something funny because he started stuttering, Clarence. So that was the first clue I knew something was up with the orange uniform. So the young lady puts on the orange uniform. She comes out. Now she completely contrasts with the gray. Fine, right? Well, the problem is the number on the orange uniform is number 3. They have a regular player in the gray uniform that's also wearing number 3. I said, Coach, she can't wear that top because it's the same number as her teammate. Well, you told me she could wear an orange one. I said, yeah, I didn't know the number was going to be the exact same. You can't have 2 people out there with the same number. Now, some officials may have said, okay, we'll figure it out in the book. Because I've seen this. This is stuff I've seen before. We'll make her 33 in the book, even though she's wearing a 3 and they have a gray 3 and a red 3. Now, that's against the rules. You've just violated the rules. The rule is if he can't provide a proper uniform top for his libero, he don't play no libero. That's what the rule clearly states. Okay. Now, if you are the official, and some officials have most of them are not doing it out of malice. Let me say that. They're doing it because they're trying to be kind. Well, I want the kid to play, blah, 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 blah. But you wanting the kid to play and what we are mandated to do by the NFHS and the IHSA, 2 completely different things. So let's say you let that kid play. Okay. Well, we're going to let her play. No harm, no foul. Okay, we're going to let her play. Let's say the match goes on, and during the match, this libero who you let play, who should have never been playing, is going for a ball that's close to the net. She dives on the floor and slides under the net and takes out the knees from one of the players. That player is injured, tears their ACL, and they're out for the rest of the season. Okay? Now, you can look at that and say, well, you know, as sports, players get injured. However, this player that got injured, her mama is a lawyer. And her mother, now who has to pay for her daughter's reconstructive knee surgery, is now going to sue and say, well, according to the volleyball rules, the young lady in Oregon shouldn't have never been playing because she had the same number as the person in gray. Who made this decision that allowed this person to play who then injured my daughter? That's how you get sued. And there's nothing we can do to defend you. They can call Pam in to testify. Miss Young, aren't you the assigner? Is this your referee? Yeah. Did he follow the rule? No. Pam ain't about to perjure herself on the stand. I'm not about to perjure myself. This is
right.
when referees make up rules. And I see this in every single sport, everybody. Every single sport. When people start making up their own rules, this is what gets all of us in trouble. So again, I say with volleyball, it's usually 2 referees. So let's say had I let that young lady play and that situation that I just described actually happened, not only am I getting myself sued, I'm also getting my partner sued. My partner who didn't have nothing to do with it because I went and made a decision. I cannot tell you all how many times I've stopped partners, people who've had more experience than me, people who I've known personally, people who taught me how to referee. How many times I've had to stop them and say, hey, Joe, hey, man, we can't do this. Well, why, Jay? You putting me and you in a situation that could be libelous. Yeah, man, but I hear you. However, I like my wife. My wife likes me. I don't want my wife leaving me because I did something dumb at work that's now costing us money. So Joe, no, we ain't doing that, man.
Exactly.
And you have to, even as younger officials, I want you all to start having that type of mentality. Officiating is actually a very serious business because we're dealing with people's children. And it's because you're dealing with people's children that there's so much emotion involved in it. But it's also why we have to be so responsible for the care of these young people when we're out there refereeing their games. Like their parents are entrusting us with their safety to some aspect. They're trusting that we are going to apply the rules. That's what they're entrusting us to do. Now, if they can disagree with judgment all day long, I don't care about that. That wasn't no foul. That should have been goaltended. That was pass interference. That's a judgment. You're protected by that. But when you do stuff with the rules, like allowing a player to play that shouldn't play, or making a decision on your own that is in direct contradictory to the rule book and what you've been taught in your clinic that you were required to take, that's when you get in trouble. That's what I'm trying to help young officials understand so that they have never put themselves in that position. And also to veteran officials, and I'm glad that you're recording this, because sometimes even the veteran officials, we get lazy. We get lazy, Clarence.
Yes.
And I've been doing this 25 years. I know how to do this. You hear it all the time.
Exactly.
I was doing this before you were born. Okay. Well, the rules change every year, man.
Right.
And I know you ain't keeping up because you're still doing a signal we got rid of 4 years ago. So, stay update on your rules, everyone. And, don't be afraid to show some caution when you see something that's clearly wrong and it's a possibility somebody could get hurt.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up too. Can you talk in an aspect, and if anybody got questions, feel free to jump in because I'm sure you guys may have some questions run across your mind for Jason to potentially answer. I guess for me, what I'm thinking about is, can you maybe even share to some extent with the IHSA, because I know that there's an insurance with the IHSA. Do you happen to know, like, particularly, like, is it like just a general liability, it only covers A, B, C, not A through Z, versus what Nassau covers? Can you kind of maybe talk about that comparison?
Sure. While I don't know all the details of the IHSA policy, I think you hit it right on the head. It's very general coverage. You're definitely not going to get the assault insurance coverage. I don't even think it covers it might cover some stuff if you get injured, but there also might be a limit on it. So, like some insurance policies will give you 100,000 in coverage. Some may give you only 25,000. I don't know all the particulars of the IHSA policy. I say again, Clarence, I encourage anything is better than nothing. I'll keep saying that. Anything is better than nothing. But if you really want to be covered fully, the NASO insurance is absolutely the best one. And again, it's only like $120. That's a couple of game checks. Go ahead and invest in it and, save yourself a big headache. But NFHS offers something, IHSA offers something, but I think the one IHSA offers is very similar to NFHS. And then there's the NASO policy. So just make sure you get that, because the NASO policy, it's going to cover you for a lot of stuff. Let's say you do something stupid. Okay, we all make mistakes. You let the girl play. Somebody got injured. You got sued. The insurance will provide you with an attorney who's going to argue for your behalf. And I think that's kind of like where you need to go, because the lawyer fees is what's going to destroy you. Even if you beat the case,
right,
you can beat the case, but you got to still pay an attorney. So your insurance helping to offset some of them lawyer fees. And, I will also say this about the NASO attorneys that they are actual people who cover sports officials. Like, they know what they talking about.
So they keep up with sports laws.
Oh, they keep up. Well, the NASO members. So every Major League Baseball umpire is a member of NASO. Every last one of them. Okay, so that says a lot. NBA, not so much, but Mark Davis, who we all know from Chicago NBA ref, he's got a relationship with NASO. I think the NHL referees are all NASO members, and a lot of NFL referees are NASO members. So, in addition to a number of college officials, they cover professional, college, high school, youth officials. Anyone can join. I think that's the beauty of it. And that's what makes the NASO membership way more valuable, because you're now members with people who do this for actual living. Like Major League Baseball umpires do this for a living. And you've got the same coverage that, they would have, in addition to other stuff that they have with Major League Baseball, of course. But, I cannot stress it enough how important it is. Tracy, what's up? I see you jump in and join us. I just wanted to say hi to you. So
what up, bro?
All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So from what I'm hearing, just to I'm trying to just summarize your speech, because I'm appreciating the education, and I very much so. I'm actually happy that this is a recorded call too, because the appreciation that I'm getting out of it is what you said earlier. I am very much so guilty for being the young official who do not understand and realize the importance of this. So I'll start off with that, because again, I think I'm confident in kind of speaking for some of the younger officials, where it's just like we're very much so getting into it to get into the craft, get on that court, start blowing that whistle, learning how to call fouls and violations, right? But in a sense, now kind of getting a mature mind on this game and the craft that we're doing. Yeah, I can very much so kind of recall some near incidents within game. So again, very much so appreciating the education of it. And to be honest, I would love to kind of see how I can help share more of this, right? Because this is some valuable information. But let me get to a question here for you. Am I hearing correctly here? Because of course I very much so have my own insurance, but I'm in my own personal insurance wouldn't cover the profession of me being an official, if I'm hearing that correctly. But in joining NASO, that very much so it covers the fact that I am a basketball official or official in general. So it's like a specific insurance for being an official versus like, again, if I was to go get hurt in a basketball game, I'm sure my personal insurance could take care of that situation. However, if this turns into a lawsuit where someone feels like I've done something very wrong and egregious into a game, I don't think State Farm is coming to save me. So
you win the grand prize.
Right. Okay. So am I kind of hitting on a nail where it's like this organization is very much so specifically to cover the act of officiating?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Not only when you're doing the match, but you also got to travel to the match, right? Do you drive?
Yep.
Okay. So, it helps you cover when you're going to the match and when you're leaving the match. Because guess what? When do most referees get assaulted?
At the end.
There you go. There you go.
When the mother in the stands not happy that you didn't call that foul on her soon to be NBA All-Star player that's 6 years old.
Yeah. So Demetrius, let me give you another example.
Yeah.
So I've known this official last 4 or 5 years. He's kind of new, but he's very good. He's a very good volleyball official. He had an incident at Westmont about a week and a half ago. He was working a JV tournament. He made a call that ended a volleyball match. There was a parent who was not very happy with him, who called him every name under the sun, blah, 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 blah. They, made sure that the parent didn't attack him in the school, blah, blah, blah. But the parent was very upset. The official did what I teach all officials. If you just made a heater call, you ain't in no hurry to get out of there.
Right.
You don't need to be out there in the crowd.
Take
Use
your
common
time.
sense. Use common sense.
Take
Use
your
evasive maneuvers. So he actually waited. He went to the bathroom. He took about 10 minutes. The gym was clear. He went to his car. Guess who happened to be parked next to him just by chance in the parking lot?
That's terrible luck.
There you go. Terrible luck. But he's now in the situation. He's face to face with the guy. The guy is still threatening him. He gets in his car. The guy's hitting the window, blah, 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 blah. He ends up filing an incident report with the school and the IHSA. My assigner who assigned him said he should also call the police. So I don't know if the police eventually got involved, but he escaped getting physically assaulted, even though he was verbally assaulted. So to your point, Demetrius, the NASO coverage is going to help you in that situation. Aaron Rodgers and State Farm are not coming, bro.
Understood.
They not gonna do it. All right. So yes, that is the major difference, but it is a good question.
Then I just want to follow up with that. As far as just the coverage itself, I heard you quote 120. Now, is this again like typical insurance where this is kind of on a monthly basis? Is this by
No.
membership yearly? Like what's
No, that's for the year. That number I gave you, that's for the year.
okay.
It was 120 then, like as a couple years ago when I left. Check it again. They may have went up like everything else.
It's 129.
I just
129 now?
Yeah,
Okay, so see, it has gone up.
Yeah, I just renewed for 129.
129. There you go. So I think when I was
year,
working there, I
that's
was only
great.
paying like 80. But for $129 for a year's worth of coverage, I mean, man, that's pretty doggone good. I mean, you're talking what,
That's
$10 a month, $11 a month, somewhere around there. Yeah. So
And then
just consider that. Go ahead,
I
Bob.
was gonna say just because I was looking at it. If you do the 2 year, you'll save about I think like $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And the key thing is, if you work in enough games, which like you say, all you got to do is work a couple of games and you pay for your insurance. And then, of course, if you got to get a uniform or whatever, you work a couple of games, pay for that. After that, you really don't have much overhead as far as what we do. Just gas in the car, insurance for the car, stuff like that for transportation purposes. But other than that, everything else is, helping you grow your business, financially.
Right.
And then too, and I'm going to say this for a lot of the young people as well, because I know myself, Pam, Jason, I'm sure you've done this. I know Tracy's done this as far as an assigner. They also have coverage for assigners as well for NASA. So if for some reason somebody contacts you as an independent contractor, as an official for any sport, doesn't matter what sport it is, hey, I got some elementary games. Can you assign these games for me? And da 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 da. And you're like, okay, sure, what have you. Well, if you have NASA insurance, you're also covered for that as well. So, that's definitely for those that do assign, who plan on assigning, and it's, again, I know this call is being recorded, but that's something for those that are assigning to also take a look at as well, because again, you want to protect your assets, you want to protect, your business, because you are your own business. We're all independent contractors. So it's important that we protect our own business so that way our business can grow.
And let me add this to it, Clarence, because this just happened this year and people were confused by it. The rollout on it, I will admit, was terrible. Okay, I'm gonna say that right out the bat. And Pam knows what I'm getting ready to talk about because she's an assigner, and they got blindsided by this whole thing. What the IHSA did too. Okay, so this year with the fall sports, the IHSA was like, you got to have your test and all your requirements done before you are going to be able to referee. Okay, that meant that Pam, no matter how much she likes you or thinks you got great skills, if she didn't see that little IHSA insignia thing on the website saying that you are now in good standing, she could not assign you. People were so blown away by this. Why they doing this? They ain't never done this. They doing it because they covered their ass.
They got sued.
They got sued. And that's why we just had a meeting last night. And every meeting that we have, especially this year, once they introduced that information, I've really been forcing that and sharing that with officials. I don't care if it's your first time officiating, first year, or again, if this is your 50, 60, 70th, 100th year, it doesn't matter. this is a new policy. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about you have to keep up with the rules.
Yeah.
The federation rules, IHSA rules, whatever school district you work for, in our case, CPS, whatever rule changes that happen at any of those levels, we still are required to enforce those rules. So if you accept a contract to do a game or a contest for any organization, you are indirectly as well as directly accepting the rules that go along with that organization. So it's important that you know that. So it's like anything, like they used to tell you, don't sign a contract unless you know all the details. That's the same concept. Hey, this is a new rule. Regardless if you like it or not, this is what it is. If we don't see that logo as the signers, I cannot put you on any game, and I will not lose my license by putting you on a game. I know me and Pam talked about it already. Go ahead, Pam.
You also remember that we're independent contractors, but we work for people that's their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to represent them. We make mistakes that could cost them their job, and we like what we're doing. So it's not about being buddy. We went through, before volleyball, before they started this procedure and people's names were listed, we had given out games. Then we had to go back and take them because you didn't pass the test.
Mm-hmm.
With 80%, you didn't look at the video or something you're missing. They take your name off, and we have special. We can see certain things as assigners that you can't see on Find an Official. We can see all 4 things that you were supposed to be passing to be in compliance. So we can tell you exactly what it is you didn't do and what you're missing.
Right.
And people say, no, I did this, I did that. No, you didn't. It's right here.
Right. And that speaks to the concussion protocol as
Mm-hmm.
well, when people don't take that concussion test.
The hate speech.
The hate speech, all that stuff was mandated by the state of Illinois. Like they trying to follow the law. These ain't rules that the IHSA necessarily made up. The law is this. So they're not about to get themselves in trouble. So it just kind of goes all the way down. So that's one of the reasons why you have to have the insurance. But more than anything, just take care of business. Just do the basic stuff that you're supposed to do. And that way you save all your assigners grief. Your assigners like you. Okay, I can assign this person, and I'm keeping real with you. There's still going to be some knuckleheads out here who don't do what they supposed to do. And they ain't gonna get no gain. So it's a chance for you to make more money. It ain't your problem. They ain't do what they supposed to do. So, especially for my younger officials, I want them to know that there's a path here to get you more financial security. And while, we're all independent contractors. Yes, we're all officials, but, at the same time, you got just as much of the right as a second year's official as someone who's a 30-year official. And if the 30-year official is so used to doing things their way, and ain't handling their business, then you just slide right on in there. This is America. So I just want that to be put out there.
Yeah, I agree a 1,000,000% with what you're saying. And I think that's one thing that we all can attest to when we were once younger officials is having somebody teach you the right way. So that way you won't make those, fall in those pitfalls that somebody else, the mistakes they made, you won't fall in those same pitfalls, but you'll know how to navigate the waters and do it in a professional manner. Because again, we all know that in sports as an official, some people have an opportunity to go to higher levels. And you don't want to do anything to mess up your name or to mess up any organization that you work for or an assigner or what have you. So it's not just a reflection on yourself, but it's a reflection on everybody that you're working for and every organization you're working with. So that's just as much as important as applying the rules to the games that you officiate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions for Jason? Don't everybody talk at once.
No question. Just appreciate your time. I did have my first year. I did have a couple of situations where definitely had to make sure that we were in compliance and nothing crazy happened. Like I had elementary school game, 2-man crew. Kid fell down, hit his head. The coach was arguing with me that he's okay now and everything, but I knew from prior experience, one being an athlete and just understanding head injuries, like if there's no medical personnel there, that kid cannot touch the floor again. So
Good
just
job.
understanding different scenarios like that is definitely important.
Great
And-
job, Miles.
And another thing too, guys, especially young officials, don't let people put pressure on you to break those rules. Because they will definitely try. No, he's okay. No, it's okay. No, don't worry about that. Ain't nobody gonna know.
His mother said he can play.
Right.
Could be the first one in line to sue you.
Right. You're gonna get all of those excuses. Again, just remember what Jason was saying, and I preach it all the time. Follow what's in the rule book. You can't go wrong because that's the only thing that can save you is what's in that rule book. If you go against that rule book, you're on an island all by yourself because there's nothing I can do to save you or any assigner for that matter. Because like you said, if it gets to the point where, God forbid, but if it goes to court, that's exactly what those lawyers are going to do. They're going to say, show me in the rule book that you can let a player come back in and hit their head on the floor.
Right.
Without medical approval. Show me in the rule book.
Right.
And so again, it always falls back on the rules. So yes, I know there's moments when we talk about common sense officiating. You still got to be careful with that because that's you using your personal judgment versus what the rule is. And that could be based off of what Jason's saying, depending on what happens and how it happens. That could almost kind of put you in a slight legal situation as well. So be careful using that. But at the same token, just follow the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick.
Hypothetical
Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
I was going to ask a question.
Oh,
like
yeah.
more so of like a kind of wanted to put a twist into the one scenario because we very much so had the same similar scenario. Kid all of a sudden coming onto the court. I had the same exact story and situation. The question is that let's say in that situation, again, your head is facing the play, you're coming down court, and unfortunately there is a collision between you and the kid that comes onto that court, and unfortunately there is a slight injury. Where is is there protection in that scenario? Because again, like this child that entered the court isn't necessarily a stakeholder of the game. So, so where would protection come into play if, again, an individual steps onto the court, an incident happens, injuries are involved? Any scenarios where you've seen this play out?
Sure. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, you are doing a basketball game. You are running down the court. A small child enters the court, right?
Yep.
Okay. So they're entering the court. So they're now entering your workspace. That's your space. It's a kid. It's not an adult. So, unfortunately, somebody gets hurt, either you or them. Your NASO insurance will cover you because you were basically doing your job. You're doing the functions of your job. It was an accident. It was no malice, no intent, just an accident. Right. So, even if they do sue you, the judge is probably gonna throw that one out. But the NASO coverage is definitely going to protect you on that. Hopefully you are not too seriously injured, and neither is the kid. Hopefully the kid's parents got health insurance because that's what they're gonna need, because you ain't gonna pay for it because you were not at fault. And in that situation, you were not at fault. Tracy, did you have a question? I saw you jump on for a second, or
no.
Oh, okay.
No.
If I could, I just want to give you a couple of scenarios. And again, I appreciate this time, Clarence. I know I'm gonna wrap this up because I know it is getting a little late. But I had two scenarios that I really wanted to bring up that happened in my career. One, I was doing a basketball match, a basketball game, freshman. Young lady didn't see the ball coming, got hit in the face with the ball, busted up her nose pretty good. So, of course, we have blood on the court, we have blood on the ball, we have blood on her jersey. And this gets back to the rule book. Got to know our rules. So, obviously, the blood has got to be cleaned off of the uniform before that player can re-enter the match. You need to check the ball.
Right.
Possibility there's blood on the ball. And you need to check the playing area, the court. Is there blood on the court? Now, there was a little bit of a different twist to this one because she did get hit in the face with the ball in the head area. So that also leads to the possibility of a concussion type symptoms, right? So in this situation, I had to not only know the blood and pathogen protocols to follow, but also the concussion protocol. So I had to bring in both the trainer and the maintenance person to clean up the blood. Usually the trainer will do the blood. Whoever is authorized to clean up the blood. Okay, cool. So trainer looks at the young lady. She doesn't have a concussion. She just stops the bleeding. There was some blood on the uniform. They cleaned that up. There was a little bit of blood on the ball. The trainer cleans the ball up. Matter of fact, I think we just got another ball, but I think they got another ball. That's what happened. So we got another ball. So as all this is going on, of course, this is causing a delay because there's still blood on the court. I see a lady come out of the stands with Kleenex. So she's coming out with Kleenex and she's going to wipe the floor of the blood.
Can't do
And I'm like, ma'am, you know. So she's like, well, I just wanted to clean up the blood. I was like, yeah, we have a protocol to follow. She's like, well, it's my kid. It's her blood. You know, it's okay. I was like,
gotta follow protocol.
like, man, I understand it's your child, and you know, if you want to clean the child's blood, I get it. But I have a protocol I have to follow. I have to have the proper person come do that. So I thought it was funny. And again, I think a lot of times people really do mean well. They're not doing it out of malice. But if they're doing it out of malice or they mean well, you still have to follow your protocol. So, you know, she took a little bloody Kleenex. She went back in the stands, and you know, the person came and sprayed the little stuff and cleaned up, and everything was all good. But you know, I couldn't allow her to do that because of the legal ramifications, and I also had to check for the concussion. Then the second scenario happened my first weekend of girls season this year. I was working a tournament in the suburbs. Two players on the same team going for the ball. They collide. I hear the heads. Uh-oh. One of them is clearly dazed. The other one pops back up. Okay. I'm at a tournament. We have 4 courts going on in this one gym, which means the trainer could be anywhere. I'm working with a partner. So obviously I stopped the match. My partner is looking at the dazed girl. Yo, she needs a trainer for real. I'm like, okay. So they usually keep the walkie-talkies at the table. The walkie-talkie was broken. Okay. So my partner made a mistake. And I want you young referees to understand this. My partner left the court to go find the trainer, which left me there by myself. Don't ever do that. Send someone, a kid working the scoreboard. I don't care, anybody, just not you. Don't leave the court. Don't leave your partner like that. So he leaves the court. The girls, both of them get up. By rule, they both need to be taken out of the match so that the trainer can examine them and authorize them to come back in. So this situation was a little different because I have no trainer right there, but I have a trainer. They just have to come to the court, and my partner left me. So now there's a delay, and I've got parents in the stand mad. Well, they got to come out the match. Let's go. You just get them out the match and let's continue the match. Blah, 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 blah. You have to be able to block out fans and parents because they say stupid stuff. It will get you in trouble. I'm not starting that match again until 1, my partner even gets back to the court, which is the first thing. 2, I'm not about to ask this young lady who's seeing stars to roll her butt off the court to the bench so that I can restart the match. No, you wait. You wait. And so eventually the young lady got up. She was able to walk over to a bench. My partner did come back, but the trainer still wasn't there. So there still was a delay in this situation. I just waited for the trainer to come. And the trainer eventually got there, cleared them, and then cleared one player. One player had to come out, and they had to do the substitution. But I say that story to all my referees. Take your time. Take your time when you are dealing with a person. That's where the humanity comes in, Clarence. Remember, we talked about using common sense.
Exactly.
This is where your humanity has to come in. Okay, I just saw two kids crash into each other like a car crash, and I heard it. I'm going to wait to make sure she's really okay, because she could pop back up and be fine, and 3 minutes later fall out flat on her face. See what I'm saying? So you wait, you follow the protocols. The fans, let them be mad, say whatever they want to do. They ain't got nothing to do with them. They ain't gonna get sued if something go wrong. So don't pay them no attention. Take your time on some of them situations where you know it's serious. Miles, what you did was not only the right thing, it was a very courageous thing, because it takes a lot of courage to be able to stand up to some of these coaches when they're pressing to get you to do stuff you can't do. You have to revert back to your training and what you've been taught in those clinics. And, always stay up on the rules. We're required to do the clinics every 3 years, but Pam, though, I try to go to a clinic every year because the rules change every year. And I'm trying to stay up on top of this stuff. So stay in your rule book, go to your clinics, learn the protocols, get the insurance, take this just as you would take your regular 9-to-5 job. And if you do that, you're going to have a very successful career. And I just wish a lot of the officials who I worked with had took it as serious as I did when I started. And, when I first got introduced to Pam, I knew nothing about volleyball. Absolutely nothing. Zero. I was told we need volleyball officials. You should try and do this. I said, okay. My Cynthia Irvin connected me with Pam. Pam gave me some games, put me with some people I could call and ask her questions. I went to clinics, and 17 years later, I've now done 2 state finals. I've refereed number of super sectionals, and I've taken that on to do some college matches in USAV and everything else. So I'm telling you all, there's opportunity out there for you all in your 20s and 30s to do this, make careers out of it, move up to levels on collegiate level, professional level, international level. My trainer in USAV, Devaney McLarthy. Devaney is one of the top officials in the world. She just worked the Olympics. She's from Chicago. She worked the Olympics. She's worked multiple NCAA championships. This is a vocation where it doesn't require a college degree. And this is what I try to tell a lot of young officials and people out here. Oh, I can't make more money. This is one of the ones where you can literally make a career for yourself. If you follow the correct guidelines, get with the right people, stay in your rule book, get yourself a mentor if you don't have one. And I probably need to say this just real quick, Clarence.
Go ahead.
Don't listen to everybody.
That is true.
That can get you in trouble.
We're all witness to that to some degree. Trust me.
Me and Clarence had a conversation about that not too long ago.
Yeah, don't listen to everybody, especially like some people have been doing it way longer than you. You gotta kind of feel people out, okay? Kind of double check. If you're not really sure about something, call Pam, okay? Call Clarence. Call somebody who know what they doing and what they talking about. Because some of these people who've been doing it 17 years have still got an X next to their name for a reason. Okay? So just keep that in mind and, use common sense and say, okay, well, I appreciate the information. You can learn from anybody. You can learn from anyone. But Aerosmith has a line in their song, I can learn from fools and I can learn from sages. You can learn from a fool, but you can also learn from a sage. You learn from a fool what not to do, and you learn from a sage what to do. So as you all go through this process of officiating, figure out which ones are fools and which ones are sages. And that'll really help you out, keep you out of trouble, and you'll be able to grow your career. So, and once again, Clarence, I appreciate the time. I'm sorry I couldn't do it in person, but I have other things I'm doing. But, obviously in the future, I would love to come and talk to the MOA body as a whole about, just my experiences and anything else you want to talk about.
Well, I appreciate your time. Definitely, you shared a bunch of nuggets, golden nuggets, not just nuggets, but golden nuggets that I think a lot of officials, young and old, can take advantage of. Definitely go to the website, naso.org. He doesn't, let me just say this, he doesn't currently work for them.
Right.
But he used to work for them a couple of years. But he has a lot of experience while working with them. You know, he's willing to share his knowledge and how it can help officials protect themselves. So that's why we were doing this recording, just so that we can get everybody on the same page to be knowledgeable about what's going on and what's available and what we need to do to protect our independent business, since we're independent contractors, what we need to do to protect ourselves. So that's why we wanted to do this call. We'll definitely have you come back again in the future to chime in with some more information. But definitely kudos to you, Jason. Congratulations on such a successful career. Pam, thank you so much for training Jason many years ago.
My
Because
pleasure, Jason.
without that, he wouldn't be here today talking about all these wonderful experiences. So definitely kudos to him, and thank you to everybody that was on the call too.
You
Go
can
ahead.
see Jason on the city championships on Thursday at Little Village
All right.
for
Hey,
girls volleyball.
Congrats.
congratulations. So all you volleyball officials, go get out there and watch one of the vets, the state final vets, do it the right way. So definitely go check them out at Little Village, so you can get some pointers. So, but thanks again, Jason, for being
One more
here.
thing. Another thing Jason touched upon when he was talking about going to clinics, you know, the IHSA says you have to go every 3 years. But you take a sport like volleyball, it changes every 6 months.
Mhm.
So if you wait every 3 years, you are way behind. Way behind. Because between now and boy season, I guarantee you something will change
Yeah.
or be added or a better way to do something. That's just the way the sport is.
And
So
they're
every
doing
3
it.
years is just not enough.
And
I think there are states where you have to go every year, but not
yeah,
in
I
Illinois.
mean, it seems like every sport is progressing so quickly, you know, that it's like you just have to stay current on what's going on. Because if you don't, you will get behind by the time you get back out there. You're trying to officiate rules that happened 1982 in a whole different decade. So you got to stay current with all of this stuff. That's for sure. Yep. But thanks again, Jason, for being a guest speaker for tonight. We really appreciate it. Definitely have you back again in the future. Thank everybody for being on the call. So with that being said,
Thanks, Jason. Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
everybody.
Take care, everybody. Good luck.
have a good evening.
Thanks,
All right.
Clarence,
Good
for
night,
having
y'all.
this.
You're welcome. Thank you for participating.
Right.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
night.